Hello and welcome to another edition of Ellevate, the podcast that's dedicated to elevating and promoting all of the amazing people that we have got in our community. Today, I am super excited about the guests that we have on. Not only are they awesome, right, but they are a personal friend of mine. They're a licensed clinical mental health counselor, a licensed clinical addiction specialist, national certified counselor, as well as the owner of Healing Selves Therapeutics. They've worked with special populations throughout the span of their 11 years of practice, elder care in the community, mental health, university students, the LGBTQIAP plus community, the plural community, and so many other things. I'm not going to read this whole thing because there's just a plethora of amazingness behind our guest today.
Exceptionalism.
Yes, one and the only Heather Scarboro, ladies and gentlemen.
And so what I love about Heather, and I met Heather through Joan Richter, right? I met Heather through Joan Richter. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. But the one thing I love about Heather is, like, to meet her, you wouldn't know all that other stuff about her. She's just so real, so down to earth, and just has such a great giving spirit, which is one of the reasons why we're really excited to get her on our podcast today. So thank you. So, and she does some really cool stuff, but that's just like my add to the intro, because that's when I think of Heather, that's the things I think about, just so you know, just to give you a little.
Definitely my favorite therapist in the world. And actually, that's one of the things that I like to talk about, because like I'm really upset because it's a conflict of interest for me to talk to her. She's the only person that I want to talk to. We got to go back to beer therapy, Heather, though. Like,
gluten-free. So, free? Oh, beer therapy is free?
Look, that doesn't work anymore.
So that is off the table. Yeah, that's off the table.
All right. But, okay, so beer therapy is not something that's offered anymore, but she does offer telehealth and was talking to me earlier about walking therapy, which I think is cool because a lot of people use that to get out their frustrations. So that's really neat. And you have a lot of different services that you offer. Do you want to briefly tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we do EMDR, clinical hypnosis.
Act like I don't know what EMDR is, because I don't.
Is so cool. So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and it really helps individuals like sidestep the trauma of trauma, if that makes sense. So it allows you to get your thinking out of the way so that you can process whatever we're targeting, whatever you want to heal from, without a lot of or all of the emotional and just without all the extra stuff. Because let's say talk therapy takes a long time. EMDR, it is quicker and it's more direct.
Why does it work? Like, how does it work?
It's really cool. It's all about bilateral stimulation, right? So when we're doing teletherapy, we use taps.
Like cross.
Yep.
Besides the brain.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Something in
yeah, right. But you get out of your mind, so to speak, and the brain can do the work. It's really super cool. It's not a whole lot of talking, which people are like, don't you want me to talk about this? Like, nope, let's just go with that. And we do the bilateral stimulation, and it allows you to choose like the positive cognitions that you want to believe rather than the negative ones that come from trauma that are kind of automatic and we don't think about it so much. So really deeply ingrained. So EMDR, the bilateral stimulation, helps us like get out of our own way, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I love that. I love that because I talk to our students all the time about, program using your body
yeah,
for you instead of against you, right? Like we're using our body for us, and our body and our brains are so amazing and so magnificent. And that if we just shift that little bit of thinking and like do what our
right.
body does without our conscious mind,
Absolutely.
we are
I
powerful.
mean, it is my favorite. My favorite modality, and it really is a modality. Like,
Right.
it is a tool in the toolbox, but it really is like a place that I operate from. Like, let's work
Okay.
smart, not hard, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
really
Let's
just
do that.
streamlines therapy in a way that it's just
Okay.
it's great. I love it. I love the outcomes that
So is this something that like most practices have? Is this something that is unique to your practice in Fayetteville? Like if I went into someone else's practice and asked for this, would they look at me like I was kind of
EMDR
Cocoa
is
Puffs?
like part of mainstream I guess
Okay.
psychotherapy now. Like, I mean, there are a lot of EMDR therapists, but what you want to make sure is that they're EMDRIA certified. So, like, if they're not EMDRIA certified, then they may not have put in the work to do it right.
Do it right.
Yeah, my teacher is amazing. Dr. Jamie Marich. She came to the wedding. Yeah. You remember?
Oh, I couldn't come to your wedding. I can't remember why I couldn't come to your wedding.
Wedding that I've ever been at. I mean, so like my first one was awesome, except for the partner that I chose. And then my second one was at the detention center because we classy AF here in Fayetteville, right? But Heather's was awesome, and Josh and I were like, oh, this is awesome. It was so
if I could have so Casey, I didn't know that we both did ours at like the Justice of the Peace. Like my wedding was at the Justice of the Peace in Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, and my mom kept trying to take pictures, and I'm like, stop taking pictures. It says detention center, like really big. And she's like, don't you want to remember this? And I'm like, we're going to the lake. Like we're literally walking to the cars to go to the lake to take pictures. Stop taking pictures.
Married.
Hey, give us moms a break. We're happy regardless, okay? Like, accept our love. Accept our love.
We almost did that and then just had the party part. I mean, the coolest part was just how everybody was so relaxed. I mean, the wedding party wore T-shirts.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was great. But like, so Jamie is a good friend of mine, and really is kind of the queen of EMDR. So like I definitely feel inept talking about it. But the cool thing about EMDR is
I think she might have been getting a call. Someone called.
Are we good? Yeah, somebody called.
You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out.
So like once you're trained properly with EMDR and you're certified and you do it, you're trained right, you can't mess it up. Like it just does the work. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, like it goes back to the human body being just so amazing.
My second favorite modality is very much humanistic. Just I want to be transparent, authentic, and real, because so much of like healing happens just with rapport. I mean, I know for myself, I wouldn't feel comfortable talking to somebody who, showed up to the therapy room in a suit and tie every week. Like I would feel I just wouldn't feel comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
feel like
I mean,
you had anything in common.
my tie-dye and my Ninja Turtles and tie-dye.
Isn't it funny? Like, we all struggle with that. Casey and I have talked about this, and I used to struggle with this a long time ago when I was first teaching martial arts. Like, I thought I had to be like the guys, you know, which is always the problem because I have boobs. And until you've trained with boobs, it's like a whole different animal, right? But like, I would think that I had to try and be like the guys until I realized that my strength was that I wasn't a guy. So that I could relate to the moms, I could relate to the grandmas, and I could relate to the kids completely different because I'm a mom, you know, I'm a baby. And when I tapped into that, that was the beginning of the culture that I chose to create. So it's just funny that we try and hold ourselves to this standard that isn't authentically us, and wonder why we're not successful.
Success happens when you allow yourself to be uniquely you.
Well, and I think a big thing too, I had an interview with a group of kids the other day, and they asked me for my definition of success, and I said, you know, I think everyone's definition of success is completely different, because my definition of success is making more money than I was before and being able to spend more time with my kids, right? Doing the things that I want to do. Yeah. That is my definition. Like that's where I want to be with my business. And yes, right, I want to help people and. But that's my goal with starting a business. But that's not everyone's goal. You know, a lot of people go into it and their goal is to make all the money and make the name and all the things. And that just kind of gives me a headache. I'm like, ugh.
And it's great because we need all of us to do the goals that we want to get, because that's what makes the world work, right? Because it takes all of us to do that. We're, you know, but it's knowing what that is for you that I think helps everyone just kind of, whew. Okay.
Therapy can really help people talk that out. That's what I did there.
What?
Having somebody that you can see weekly, every other week, once a month. I mean, not just when it feels like the world's falling apart, but just, I mean, it helps. It helps. I mean, and I do a lot of that because once you clear the trauma, then I clear the trauma, heal the trauma, and then who am I without all of that pain?
Yeah. Well, and there's such I think, stigma, and you and I had talked about this too, about going and asking for therapy. And like, I'm completely guilty of it, because with my first relationship, I was like, maybe let's go talk to somebody. And he never wanted to. It was this no. And it never happened. And you never know how that could have helped. And now with my second, my marriage right now, which is not going anywhere because he's amazing, right? I'm a big talker. And we definitely have gone and talked to people before when we needed to, because it's so nice having just someone who doesn't take a side and their goal is to try and help you. And then, you know, I've obviously had some therapy with Heather that not have to be able to continue. It's fine. But with that, you know, I really was like, I just need someone to listen to me, bitch. I just need someone to listen to me complain.
That's okay.
And it's awesome. It's so nice. And then I have someone who is getting paid through my insurance to listen to all of my problems and all of my rants and help me figure out ways to handle them. And then I get to go home to my husband, and I just got to get all of that already taken care of. It's awesome. Awesome. Everyone should have a therapist.
It's true.
Multiple.
Yeah, so
everybody,
you need
therapist,
kids,
everybody needs a therapist. And
but we were talking before we started recording, and so like we talked about what is the stigma with like therapy, and then how has COVID made
so
some changes
I think there's
to
a
what that looks
couple
like now.
Common threads of stigma. One is if I go to therapy, that is like an admission of weakness, that I can't do this on my own, or I'm not good enough, or I need to be tough, especially for young men. They really struggle with that. And
Yeah.
That's like programming that we get from media, from the people in our lives, etc., etc. But like the other piece to that is therapy is for people who are crazy, and
no, therapy will keep you from going crazy. That's what that is.
It's true. Like I'm a huge proponent of, everybody should have that safe space. Like,
yeah. See, and I haven't talked to a therapist because I get to hit stuff all the time. And so I'm a big proponent of finding that outlet. So that's kind of where my therapy is, popping kids on the head and hitting a bag and kicking stuff.
I might need to come take a few classes with you guys.
Look, I want to do this, and so I'll announce it here. We are open Monday through Friday from 4:30 to 8:30 p.m. There are always bags available to come in, and you can hit them for free. We'll just teach you how to do it right so you don't hurt yourself. But if I was going to rent out the room and let the parents come in, and then they could do like the say anything too. I hate when they do this to me. Just go for it. Just blah. So that's always available. It's not as good as bear therapy,
therapy,
but
for a lot
of
an outlet. So I do think that there is a lot of stigma associated with coming to therapy, but the truth is, I'm a better human being because I go to therapy. Having that safe space where I can say things that I'm feeling, and it's so crazy how it connects. Like, I'll do EMDR with my therapist, and then I'll go home, because a lot of times with EMDR, processing happens outside of sessions. So like I'll have like this really weird vivid dream, and I'm flying and it's cool, but like I'll wake up and it's like, well, shit, now it all makes sense. Why that stupid thing I do? It's because when I was 10, somebody said I wasn't good enough in school, and I fucking believed it. Yeah.
And it's usually like somebody who doesn't even matter to you that said something like that to you that impacts you forever.
I mean, I cannot, it's so valuable to me. It makes me a better spouse. It makes me a better human. It certainly makes me a better therapist.
Yeah. Do you find that I find this for myself, and which is why I'm addicted to the process, is that the more I push myself to learn and to do things that are out of my comfort zone and to do things that make me scared, the better I am for my students, right? Because now when they're scared, I can completely understand what that look on their face is, because I just did it to myself, right? I totally know. You're thinking this, and then they think I'm a genius, but it's just because I'm a human too, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm going through the same process. So it's like you can't help but be better when you do that, when you take that approach to it. And Casey, I think this still relates to kind of what you do too, because you have to like take all of when you're designing stuff and doing social media stuff, you have to take all of our craziness and like focus it.
Do you remember that first Casey designed my company logo and my first brochure and my first business card and all of that? Do you remember how many edits my wife had you?
do.
It's a trauma event. She doesn't like to talk about it, Heather.
Yeah. And it's funny because Heather and Shannon are very different individuals. And so Heather's direction was like, here's what I'd like in it. Just make it look cool. I mean, right? And so I'm like, okay. And then I go, here you go. And then Shannon's like, so you have a double space here, and this should be capital, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm dealing with Shannon, not Heather. All right, let me. Which I should have. I mean, I should have figured that, you know, she'd be.
I'm just so laid back, you know. And part of that is, it's not because I'm a therapist. Trust. I think it's because it's just who I am. You know, I feel like Master Splinter taught me so much. I 4 years about just being here and now and present. And so,
yeah, present.
Yeah.
I love that quote. Yes. It's on our wall.
Absolutely.
Today is a gift.
You know, I'm just letting you know that one of your preview posts is going to say to join us about the wisdom of Master Splinter.
He also said, you know, the space in between the breaths, find it and stay there. Yeah, like, I mean, some people it was Yoda. For me, it was Master Splinter. That's
Master Splinter.
That's right. And,
taught you to go within.
And to
do or
go within.
Is no.
But now I want to take this on a serious note, though, because with COVID, it's changed, and I see it with the kids a lot, but it's really changed the kids and adults as well. So let's talk about that and what you're finding and how therapy can help that, because it's a true thing. Even though Master Splinter said it, it is true. It is a truth. Truth is truth, regardless of where you hear it. But like, talk about how, like, what you're seeing and how, like, you've had to the therapy's been adjusted to accommodate
COVID
that.
Did was, I think it made it more acceptable. Like, it did chip away at some of that stigma, because COVID built my practice. I hate to say it that way, because COVID is still this horrible thing. But I left my agency job in 2019. By the end of, by December 2020, I was looking to hire more therapists. So, I mean,
wow.
Yep.
And it's a good thing, because people are reaching out for help where before that they wouldn't, or maybe have picked it up as an unhealthy habit.
The level of
self-medicating habit or something,
and isolation that COVID really brought to, I think that a lot of the folks that initially sought therapy during COVID probably had been toying with it, for a long time, but then there were still activities happening. You're still able to distract yourself and go, go do this or go do that or go hang out with friends. And when all of that stopped and folks are just left with their minds, like, sometimes I'm like, ooh, I'm in my mind. I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe I should go out in the garden and see what they're doing.
What was that crazy movie with J-Lo and the guy from that not Criminal Minds, but that where they went into this weird land? You guys don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
Not yet. No, I need more than like a sentence and a half.
Vince Vaughn, J-Lo, he was like a serial killer, and she was attached to this machine to go into his mindscape and all the creepiness that he found there.
The Cell.
Still no? Yeah, The Cell.
Seen it. I just Googled it.
Yeah, thank you for Googling it, because my description was apparently inadequate.
I Googled Vince on a Jennifer Lopez movie. And then it came out.
Yeah, so like when you say stuff like I was in my mind, I think of The Cell because he was like his mind was really creepy, and she was like walking through his mind. And
I have a hard time getting my
scary.
mind to shut up. That's my biggest problem. Like I get home and like I just want to have a cigarette and I want to chill and I want to relax and I can't because I'm like, okay, I need to do these social posts. Oh, hey, I bet you this person would donate to this. Right. Oh, I needed to stop, like, and it won't stop. Like, it gets so annoying.
Yeah. I would say it sounds like
I bet you I could talk to a therapist about that.
Hey,
I mean, I tried, Heather.
Hey, just say I'm a professional. I'm a professional.
Yeah, so I do think COVID shifted some of the stigma because more people or people that wouldn't have initially come to therapy came to therapy. Another thing COVID most certainly did was outline how a lot of our systems in this country are not working, i.e. there was a shortage of therapists, which ultimately brought about the Interstate Counseling Compact. It's been in the works for a couple of years, but like COVID really, like, states started signing on and we couldn't move
pushed it over the finish line. Yeah.
Until we had 10 states. Now we're up to 16. North Carolina just approved it. So like, I mean, there's a lot of legwork that still needs to be done, but probably within the year, North Carolina counselors will be able to practice in all of those states that signed on. And, you know, same for them, you know, the counselors there because are, for the most part, licensed clinical mental health counselors or whatever the state equivalent is, and licensed clinical social workers or whatever the state equivalent is, we're limited to practicing in our states. So COVID definitely put some fuel under that. Good thing. It makes mental health more accessible. And how would one who lives in North Carolina practice in somewhere like Kentucky? Oh, by telehealth. And COVID did that too. So it forced therapists to no longer meet with their clients face to face because there is a pandemic happening. And it took about a month for everybody to get on board. I was already doing some telehealth because I'm cutting, right?
You're cutting edge.
Well,
You're cutting edge. You're an innovator.
It's great because folks, they don't have to, I mean, they can be in their pajamas if they need to be, you know? And I have folks that. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's the beginning, like getting dressed. It's hard for some, you know, like doing that.
It's a lot less intimidating to get on a Zoom call, to log on a telehealth with somebody than having to get ready and go into the office. And I think that there's a lot of people who were much more inclined to do therapy because they had the telehealth option. I know there's like my doctor, right, sent me this little thing where I can do like at-home doctor visits, right? It's got like a stethoscope and all this stuff. And I can load the app up, pull the thing up, and do an at-home check at any point, Monday through Friday, 24/7. And then I submit everything. It's to a doctor, and then a doctor calls me. And I'm like on a Zoom call, and then we discuss it, and then I get my prescription. And like, I don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah. My friend Kylie, she told us that it's available in TRICARE like that. I had no idea. Cool. I'm Dr. Reverse. I'm totally Dr. Reverse.
And that's my point. Like, you know, now I went in and found out and this was months ago, right? I had strep throat, and I probably wouldn't have done anything about it. I would have just been miserable and let it run its course because I don't have time to go to the doctor.
As long as you have time to go see a doctor.
I have a lot of other stuff going on.
I resemble that remark.
telehealth is the bomb.
FaceTime.
I mean,
so
telehealth.
Initially for me, I mean, in all, in transparency, in the spirit of transparency, like I struggled because I could literally work all night from home if I wanted to. And I do try to have good boundaries, as everybody should, about like when I'm doing my telehealth session. I mean, I might be in t-shirt and jeans or basketball shorts. But I always do it if I'm at home in this chair. This is and I keep things very I keep the space. Now, some of my clients now, they might be by the pool. And I'm very jealous. I'm like,
right.
What do you mean? I guess if you want to do therapy soaking up the sun rays on this beautiful day by a beautiful pool in complete solitude, because it's always got to be a secure, confidential space, even for the client. I do get jelly. I'm like, wow. But I did learn that also means, like, when I go on vacation, or no, it's actually going to be a vacation. I'm not going to work on my vacation. Look at me setting good boundaries. There you go. It's just
so proud of you. Therapists would be proud. That's right. Well, like Casey said, though, it's hard to turn it off. And I think that's kind of what's made things bigger. Because, like, for people who had never worked at home before, those boundaries weren't in place. And so it was like expand, contract. Like, there was learning curves on so many levels. But
Absolutely.
There was also isolation
COVID
on so many levels, too. It was just
the world's mental health. But I think there were some gains for understanding and, bringing mental health into a, like, legit conversation.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about it now, which I don't think we did a great job of pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then the priority, I can't remember what I was watching. And unfortunately, it was probably in relation to one of the shootings that has happened in the last few weeks. But talking about, like, what happened to the patients when Dorothea Dix shut down. Like, like they shut, like, and that just happened here locally. That happened everywhere across the country, right? And so, like, I mean, when those things happen because of budgets,
of
like,
mental health,
there's effects.
Yeah, we don't state facilities anymore. We don't have state services
and
or state providers. There is a Cumberland County mental health building, but that's an agency that runs that. That is still another for-profit business. That is not the state.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be, where you used to be able to bring, like, you had a problem, and, if you're a parent, you're going to run into this. I ran into this with my kids. You're going to have a problem. You need to have a place to take them because it's beyond your expertise, and that doesn't exist anymore, so it is a thing. But now, thank you, COVID. That is one thing that we can say thank you, COVID, for, and so if you have one thing besides, I think we've got it pretty much consistent. Go find a therapist. Everybody needs therapy. Besides that thread, is there anything else you want to make sure that you tell people about, like, the mental health? And
my doctor has told me numerous times, if you don't take care of your mental health, which means addressing, everybody gets depressed sometimes. Everybody dissociates. Everybody has trauma. And if you let those things go unnoticed or swept under the rug, etc., like, it will show up in your body. Your body, you can't ignore that. Or you can try.
Right. Well, and then
I
mean, just
mental
truth.
health is physical health.
Right?
I mean,
That's
it's all
one of the
connected.
truths. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boom.
That. I think we should end on that. Drop the mic. Boom. That's a powerful statement right there. Boom. I think that is such a powerful statement. It was such a pleasure to get to talk to you again,
I miss you, Heather. I miss you, Heather.
Yeah.
Can we just do beer and I won't rant at you?
That was a lie. That was a lie.
We'll definitely rant at you, but like,
how about we just hang out and you can rant at me?
Rant at everybody.
You don't even have
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my point. Like, can we just have a beer sometime? I miss you. Yeah.
Well, we've got to Casey, I'm taking notes on all of our actions. So with
Heather, do you want to join our book club?
Our book club.
Judge King is in because Tracy told her she was in.
Only in the spirit of self-care is important, and she likes to do that to put back in. I'm just helping her with her self-care.
What kind of book?
Tracy was like, "We're joining a book club together." No, she didn't.
That's the whole point. They were talking about books that I'd never read, would never made it to my radar because I'm all about saving the world from alien invasion. So those are the books that I read. I'm always saving the world.
Where the Crawdads Sing. That's the new one. And then she was saying one of her favorite books. So she's got two that she rereads. It's The Outsiders and Island of the Blue Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
This is
and I've never heard of the Island of the Blue Dolphins.
This one right here is one everyone should read too. Especially for therapists.
What is it?
It literally is all about how she's a therapist and she's like, my life is a hot mess, and goes to a therapist and she's like this initially, like her whole thing, like, what is he gonna say to me? What is he gonna say? And he's like some hippie dude. He's like, hey, how you going? Like splinter vibing. And she's like, before she knows it, she's dishing all her shit to him. And it's just great because you're in her head as a client, but also as a therapist. And good read.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, see, that's why we need to be in a book club. We can bring all of our stuff together.
Send out an email to a lot of our Ellevate guests and be like, hey, book club, who wants it? And by that, I mean
book club. And we can do we can do an interest meeting. Overview
meetings at Dirtbag.
There we go.
What was our last luncheon was a Dirtbag? Yeah, it was a good one.
Yes, it was. I became the Who girl of the chamber.
She did.
I became the Who girl of the chamber.
I kind of felt like a celebrity with my own little cheering section. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'd say something and I was like,
maybe I'll start being. I started working on my PhD. Thank you.
Oh, congratulations!
I endeavor. There we go. That's a good word. I endeavor to not see clients on Wednesdays, so maybe I can make some of the luncheons.
Yeah.
I miss hanging out with my business buddies.
That would be awesome.
My friends.
I know, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've got to be more intentional about that.
What?
Yeah, we got to be intentional about doing that. Like, I think we've kind of just gotten to a place where we it's going to happen. No, we got to make it happen. I think that's my theme song for the remainder of 2022. Mariah Carey, make it happen. I'm going to do that. That's who I am. I'm going to wake up to that. I'm going to go to bed to that. If I'm tired, I'm going to put it on. Mary J is usually my go-to girl, but I'm going to have to switch it up to Mariah. All right, so we can make it happen. We can either make it happen before the end of summer.
All right.
Deal. All right. So,
We'll get it in.
Heather.
They
Yes.
can hop on the website. Healing
How should people get in touch
Therapeutics,
with you?
PLLC.com. Shoot me a message there. I'm on Facebook, Healing Selves Therapeutics, my Facebook page. On my website, my phone number, you can call or text me. Text is always so much easier to respond to. You can email me. You know, really, I think all my,
Yes.
I'm pretty. It's all out there, I think.
Now, do you have a calendar? Because I know before COVID, you used to do some pretty cool events. Do you have a calendar of events of things that you have happening?
No,
No, not yet. You'll endeavor to create it.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a chopped challenge sometime soon.
The public. There are some things that are in the works. Lisa Lofthouse, the owner of Breathing Space. We've got a couple things that we're floating around, kind of doing like a meditation 101 thing, and incorporating mantra music.
Okay.
As well, you know, we're in a kirtan band together.
Yeah, I never was able to make those.
I know, I felt it, Tracy.
Always when I was teaching, but I was always with you here. They need my voice.
I ran into Lisa. She was downtown during the solstice, and she danced around the maple with the girls. Yep, I got a video.
All right, well, good time. So always a pleasure. It was so great to have you on. And we are always looking for amazing, exceptional, unique women, just like our guests and Heather today, so that we can elevate and introduce and support each other in all of the ways with all of our unique talents and gifts. So if you know someone or you are that someone, get on our schedule. Let us meet you. We can't wait to talk to you. All right, until next time, we promise. It'll be painless. Until next time, we will see you on Ellevate. Have a great week.